I didn't pay attention, That's good. So it's not a good idea to start the stream and setting things up while you're racing. So this is just a practice session. An old friend of mine, Jose, is here as well. Ah, du hast schon ein paar Runden hier gedreht.
Left. Still there. Hold your line.
Ja, hab mich letzte Saison mit Marc ziemlich viel gebettelt.
Left side. He's still there. Hold your line. Still there. Still there. Hold your line. Still there. Clear left. looked bad. You okay?
Das war nicht gut. Das war nicht gut. I'm not especially happy with the wheel setup actually. Sorry, José, für das Zusammenhauen der Runde. Feedback war zu stark, wenn ich jetzt Ausrede suchen muss.
Kein Problem, kein Problem.
Car right. Still there. Still there. Clear right.
Fahren scheiß zusammen heute. Pah, José ist fast.
Still there. Clear left. Left side. Still there. He's still there. Still there. Clear left.
Meine Fresse, bist du wieder schnell.
Danke, bin ja schon 2 Rennen heute gefahren.
Ich bin gestern eins gefahren, dann ist mir iRacing abgestürzt, am Start verreckt,
Still there.
alles in mir reingefahren. Ich habe disconnecten müssen, 170 iRating verloren mit einem
Right
Rennen.
side's clear.
Das war ja bitter.
Anfang letzter Saison passiert, da brauchst du ewig, um das wieder reinzukriegen.
Ja, ungefähr 17 Rennen.
Ah, super. (42,9) ist sehr brutal, Marc.
Das wird noch schlimmer.
Du hast einen ziemlich großen Schaden rechts vorne, José.
Ah, okay, danke. Die Runde mal zu Ende fahren.
Ah, not enough.
Car right. Still there. Clear right. B2.
Yeah, low 6:43 is about my time. Theoretically a 42, but that's more theoretically. Fährst du nochmal, José?
Ja, ich habe nur mal geschaut, wo ich mir den Schaden geholt habe. Das war da, wo wir in der Mutkurve die Situation hatten. Nett.
Aber wir haben uns nicht berührt, oder?
Wir haben uns nicht berührt, ne?
Und rechts außen, wo hast du dir den geholt? Du warst ja links innen, oder?
Ja, ja. Aber da ist was passiert. Netcode. gleich wieder.
Das hat nicht gut geklungen.
On your right. He's still there. Hold your line. Right side's clear.
Ich glaube, jetzt habe ich mal was zusammengehauen.
Was? Ich mach die Quali.
Viel Glück.
Danke. Ich glaube, jetzt habe ich mal was zusammengehauen. Ich glaube, jetzt habe ich mal was zusammengehauen. Was? Ich mach die Quali.
Bad luck, Big G. Don't rush. Get it running. Get it back in the race.
Sorry, now I'm not muted. Yeah, roof is great. Nord is as well. To be muted is not so great. Don't hear you moved your yes. So sorry about that. Yes, I did. So this is a matte paint. There. Yes. Hello guys. Sorry about the mic. Sometimes I forget it. So yeah, why is my lollipop guy black? Any idea? Because it's the paint. It's clearly red. And I have no idea why it's black. My only guess is that I used the wrong file format. Not file format, but so I tried 32, so I will go with 24. Let's reload this stuff. Trading paints. So it's not working. I don't know why. I had a big issue with the roof paint yesterday, and I fucked up my first race. I lost 170 points because iRacing crashed, and it was due to the trading paint, and trading paint due to the paint I used. I tried normally like I do with the Ferrari to upload this also as a DK layer, but somehow that messed up everything. So I didn't. I don't use the DK layer now. But I don't know why the driver's suit is not working, and this guy is so black. Hmm. Yeah, well, this was really not very um no happy situation. Also, I fucked up a lot of other people during the race because I was on P1 or P2, I don't know, first line, and obviously a lot of people run into me. I felt really bad about that, but I didn't have any inputs, and there was no error message. It just didn't work. So I was quite sorry about that. And the second race I did, I finished P2 and I got 10 racing points for that. So it's going to take me some time to get back the 170 I lost in the first race. You might be, what does it say? You might be bugs in new paint, I guess. Yeah, could be. The tricky thing is that there are no error messages whatsoever, not in trading paints when you load it, not in iRacing when it loads the paint. If you're unlucky and you have a problem with the paint, it just fucks up everything. And especially stupid in a race. So, is Jose here now? Is Jose here? No. He didn't join back. That's a pity. Yeah, I have that same issue sometimes that a paint that's in some moment isn't working at all, no matter what you do. Um, that's weird, isn't it? But here, nobody is here, so it doesn't make sense to stay here. Thank you, Nikang. Good luck, have fun, enjoy. V8 at Run America sounds awesome. Maybe I try that later too. DD1, please not Mr. Geberger. Bernhard it is. First of all. Second of all, DD1 and BMW. I don't really think there's something big. There might be some firmware updates waiting. Could be. Have a good mount. It's very strong. I personally never used this safety screw they provided for the Fanatec quick release. I found it perfectly fine without. I don't know. Anything in particular you're wondering or you're consider what is an issue? You can check if the power supply makes any noise. The very first one I got when I ordered DD2, probably one of the first being produced, it had a little beeping noise, and I asked Fanatec and they sent a new one immediately. But I think they will have sorted that out by now. So if everything is working alright, the power supply should be completely silent. There is, I think, a little vent in it, but when you start it, it should be silent at the moment. I start with Semitech 2. Great cockpit to begin with. Very good bucks for your money. Bucks, how do you say that? You get a lot for your money. Semitech, it's quite nice. But of course, aluminum profiles are so much more flexible, and yeah, once you start to be a bit more serious about sim racing and you build up your cockpit, I think the aluminum profiles are the way to go. 8020 sounds strange. I only know that's maybe a different profile. We call them here 4040 or 8040. Or is it 8020? Or maybe they have different names. Anyway, aluminum profile is awesome. It's in most cases rock solid, and I love the possibility to mount everything where you want. So I don't have a handy cam, or is it like a cam I could show you around? But I have published a video showing my cockpit in detail. I will do another one end of the year, because I'm waiting for one more custom-made rim, a Ferrari replica, and from Turn Racing, so from the States. I'm really looking forward to receive this. And then I'm done for this year, as far as my cockpit is concerned. And when I have the Ferrari replica, I'm going to make another video showing my current build of the cockpit with the SimiCube Ultimate being behind and below the monitors, using the wheel shaft extension, and finally having everything set up the way I intended it to be. Fefe, I'm not sure if it's the Fefe replica or what are you referring to as Fefe? Yes, space to screen is a bit of an issue with the Fanatec, but as long as you don't use motion, I think you should be good. Because without motion, you can really, bring it together really, really close. And depending on how far you want it's about the ergonomics of your chair and the wheel. It depends where the base is going to sit. So I think without motion it's fine. Okay, I've never heard Ferrari to be referred to, or Fefe. A synonym for Ferrari. Or you say Fifi in English? No, it doesn't sound right. So let's see if here's somebody. Ooh, 49 inch, but one. 49 is huge. 49 is huge. But as far as this is concerned, the tricky part, I think you see this. You will see this here. The stream is a bit later. The tricky part is always here, where on the screen you have the dashboard, and underneath you have your steering shaft, the wheelbase, and that's a tricky part. No matter how large the screen is, to fit this is the tricky thing, especially if you use like a steering wheel like this, around one, and you want the dashboard of the car to be viewable through the steering wheel. So then it comes all down to the details. So for example, for me it would be better if I sit lower and I can watch more through the steering wheel. Then I would see much more here of the dashboard. But then other things wouldn't work. So it's I think always a bit of a trade-off. And here it's where it's going to be tight with the wheelbase and the mounting of the screens. So, but if you don't use a round wheel, but like a GT style wheel or like the McLaren one from Fanatec, it's not an issue. If you use the BMW like you rode now, you have to deal with the wheel blocking parts of the screen. And then line up is more complicated. Why are there no people driving? I mean, plenty of people used to be in the session, but nobody's driving. It's a bit dead here. Oh, haha, my guy is there. For whatever reasons. Yeah. I got rid of the stupid black guy. I got my Tango racing guy. Yes, hello. So good that this is working at least. I will get black flagged here.
They've just been given a stop go penalty. You need to come in for this penalty in the next 3 laps.
Yeah, 3 laps in Notchlife is a lot of time. Let's see. Yes, BMW rim is awesome. It was one of the first I bought. Still working, still flawless. I can give you a little advice. I've tuned, upgraded. There's a rather cheap upgrading option for the Fanatec, putting some magnetic shifters on them. It's not really magnetic shifters, you don't change the shifters, you basically add big magnets to the original mount, and it gets a bit more of a snappy feeling. So it's super easy to install, it's not very expensive. You might want to look into this. So this is the only modification I did on this wheel, and I use this a lot. It's great. One thing you have to consider, I don't know if you have experience with Alcantara material. If you sweat, like I sweat quite a lot when the heat is on, this becomes quite like not so nice, rather fast. So the use of soft but too rough gloves is a problem as well. So I went for this rather soft racing. Yeah, okay. Then I think you're better. If it starts to show wear, there are some videos showing how you can like refreshen this using some light soap water, mild warm soap water, and a sponge, and then you rub this and clean it up, and it becomes like brand new. And the shifter was Asha or SRM. If you want to know, I'll look it up. Oh, there was somebody. Oh, I missed him. No, I don't need to follow this guy. So it's SRM, not Asha. That's the link. I can highly recommend SRM. It's a great guy. He will help with any issues you come across. And as you can see, this is like one of the cheapest upgrades you can have. Well, okay, it's 40 pounds. Actually, it's not that cheap for for two little pieces and two magnets. But well, most of the other upgrades, magnetic shifter upgrades, are much more expensive. So they they do not have the same feeling like the real magnetic shifter. Ah, but almost actually. And it's definitely an improvement over the original. And it's basically two screws and that's it. So it's super simple. So where is this driving here now? Not sure what to do if there are not so many people racing. So none of my friends are online racing at the moment, I'm afraid. Skippy. Oh. I almost run anything on Nordschleife, but Skippy. Not so much. Actually, I should start to train some Ferrari GTE here because we have to race on Friday. Season final of the VVLN. There's a guy. 2000. Let's see what he can do.
The pit exit looks clear. Disengage limiter.
Heusingwald sprint. Yeah, quite. Oh, man, this guy's slow. Lots of people are thinking about the sprint, and I have driven them shortly at a friend's place. Well, if you want to go all the way and you want to replicate the feeling of a real car as close as possible, I think you have to go for hydraulics or the Ultimate. Having said that, for example, if you want to have the clutch feel more or less like in a real car, the Ultimates are superior. The clutch in the sprints doesn't feel so much like a clutch you would expect in a car. Anyway, clutch is not very important for most. The other thing is I want to be able to replicate the forces from real racing cars. So more or less up to 90 kilograms. I'm using at the moment maybe about 70 or 80. And for that I also think that the Ultimates are a little bit better. Another difference are the dampers, but I don't think that those are too important. Otherwise, the brake and the throttle of the sprints felt perfectly fine to me. And there's two huge reasons why you might prefer the sprints. And this is the software, like the up-to-date software, the new software they are developing. It's made for the sprint pedals. So it's really sophisticated and nice, and it's still not working for the Ultimates. And they didn't make up their mind if they want to support Ultimates for their new software. So at the moment this latest software is only working for the sprints, and it's like a different world compared to what you have to use for the Ultimates. I have heard people the brake pedal or the holding of the pedal broke. About I think 2 people told me that, but I also know that I think for Max Verstappen actually he had a broken Ultimate brake pedal. So if you have bad luck, or I don't know why these things broke, it can happen with both. So this is I think you will be fine with the sprint, perfectly fine. And Heusingwald is a great company. If you experience any issues with their product, they will be in touch with you any moment and will send you a repair or replacement or whatever. Yes, I think so. I saw a picture from I dropped in on saw a summary of the race, and I just saw a short picture of the broken pedal. It looked to me like the Heusingwald Ultimates, but I wouldn't guarantee for that now. It was just like what I remember in my head now. I saw this picture they posted and said like, you see, this can happen to the Ultimates as well. Yeah, and they're much cheaper as well, right? So the newer product, better software, brake and throttle, I think it's not a big difference. So, is this guy so slow or he waited for somebody?
Left side.
He doesn't
Clear
want
left.
to run with me. Why? Can you explain this to me? I mean, I would be so happy if like a faster guy would be willing to run with me like a couple of laps, show me a line, and like just try to follow him and learn something to improve pace. And most of the time when I like try to hook up with like this now Ray, they just don't even try to race with you. I mean, I don't understand that, but anyway. Yeah, you're most welcome. Let me know how everything turned out once you have everything up and running. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I tried not to scare him too much, actually. Maybe they are intimidated when they see that somebody else is like quite a bit faster and they don't want to hold him off, something like this, or hold him up. But well, it's up to the faster guy. I can choose to make a pass and go on and disappear. If I stay around him, obviously I want to run with him or race with him. So he could take advantage of that or benefit from it. There's nothing really I'm interested in right now. Yes, they did. And for me this is a big blow because it was my favorite track to race since it was fun. It was like a track day, you just get on there with a couple of friends, have some fun. And then maybe if there are enough people, you had this 3-lap fun race. I used to start from the pit and fight my way back to the front. It was awesome fun and especially good in week 13 because we had full grids then, like 40-50 people. Yeah, drivers, you may remember. It was really awesome. I don't know why they kicked it. If you're interested, guys, let me look this out. Look this up. I mean, I started a post in the complaints department of the forum some time ago, but it's still quite up. The thing is that well, Nordschleife is not as famous in the US as it is in Europe, and my experience is that the forum is visited and used by guys from the US mostly, and so it's not so easy to have a standing chance for issues related more to Europe. So if you're interested in Nordschleife, you didn't know about this, you might use this link. It's called Nordschleife Fahren, what it's called. So in the forum, the complaints department, and there it's called Industriefahrten fahren Nürburgring Nordschleife question mark. And there's also a poll, a questionnaire, not a questionnaire, a poll, where you can opt to have it back and support it. So you might want to take a look and maybe give your vote. Maybe eventually, if it gets growing and growing, it's by now quite large, and 2,000 views, and but still not too many replies and not too many votes, so we can use any vote, every single vote. So go there and vote. It's always good to have Nordschleife. it's a nice option to go and have fun if there's no other race you're interested in. Sebring, Watkins Glen, Canadian. But I think I'm going to call it a night. Yeah, it's always fun to see forum posts and how people discuss and express their opinions. I think I put this in a very friendly way. Yeah. So sorry guys, there's still 5 guys watching, but I don't 6. Oh, but I don't really know what to do here. There's no really race going on here in the Porsche. When is the last race was 2 o'clock. I could have done the race. Next one is 4 o'clock. Ugh. I think since tomorrow I have to train GTE, I'm going to change back to GTE and get used to our Ferrari again. Like 1-2 laps. And then I will call it a day. This is going to be fun. Changing back from roof to GTE. Well, fun. Strange. I have to do this in a test session because there is... Oh, I host a session. No, it's too long. I'm just going to do a test session. Ferrari GTE and Nordschleife combined VLN. It's going to be a morning race. Unknown. Morning, yes. What else? Actually, I don't know exactly about the weather. Really, the McLaren wheel was so loud. Wow. I've heard quite a lot of people having issues with it. I think I was really lucky. I bought it like right away when it was introduced. So I must have received one of the very first models, and I didn't had one single issue with it. This I upgraded quite a bit with the SRM magnetic shifters, which is quite a big deal to update those. So you have to really like rip apart the whole thing and drill a lot of holes and break out stuff and solder wires onto an electronic board. It was quite a work, but totally worth the thing. And since you get the Fanatec stuff, one thing I was really surprised. There was one issue. I was not sure if it's the base or the wheel. And when I got in touch with Fanatec support, they offered to return the wheel, and they would replace the main electronic how do you say, cable part, which supposedly is sometimes made an issue. They seem to know that. And I was like, yeah, but I customized this wheel quite heavily with these magnetic shifters, and for that, as I said, you have to make holes, drill stuff, you have to solder to the electronics. It's a major modification of the wheel. And I told them, well, yeah, thank you for this offer to replace all of this within warranty, but I have made these changes. So basically, it's a completely different wheel. And they confirmed, said there's no issue at all with them. They are perfectly fine with this magnetic shifter modifications, and I can still return the wheel, and they would replace it under warranty. And that's definitely something most companies would not do. If you alter their product in such a massive way, the first reaction would be like, okay, we are off there any warranty claims. So I think this is really awesome by Fanatec to say, okay, you altered it and you made these modifications, but if the problem is something else, they still live up to the warranty, and you can get this fixed under warranty. So I was very surprised by that. I didn't expect them to offer that at all. So it's good to know, I think. I'm just quickly betting is this calibrating, or what do you mean by clibating? Clibating? If this is a word, then I don't know it. Used for brake, calibrating, I guess. Ultimate raw figure in iRacing. I think you can have a rough comparison with the raw figures, but as far as I know, these how do you call this mechanical things, or this in the brake and the throttle, it's not the potentiometers, but contact free. How do you call these? Anyway, the stuff producing these raw figures, they can, and as far as I know, they are different from product to product. So my raw figure might be quite different to your raw figure, even if it's the same pressure. So it's not one-to-one comparable, but I think a rough idea. So load cell. So now that's it. It's the load cell. And this is also why you have to calibrate this. And if you take a look at the raw numbers, also the load cells from different pedals, they have different values, and it's not exactly comparable. Anyway, my setting for the brake is around 1600, 1650, something like this, the maximum raw number in iRacing. I use, well, if you see this better, then yes, one green, two white. And no dead zone. Basically, I got almost rid of this dead zone in the beginning. And then two soft, so the two white ones, and one large, I think it's the largest green, and two white ones, if I'm not mistaken. Do you see this on the pedal? The Yeah, you don't. How do you see the green one? You don't see the green one on the pedal cam. You can try to. Where is it? No. Why don't I get the pedal cam here? Pedal cam. Look at the pedal cam. But it is the green one. I'm surprised you saw that. So it's the largest green one, and then fill up with the white ones. This is what I use. I can also tell you, just if you're interested, I was running not running well. I drove a Formula 3, a Formula 4, and a Formula Renault 2 car in real, and it had a slightly softer brake pedal than this setup. So if you use this kind of combination, the green and white, two white ones, the feeling is quite what it was in the Formula Renault 2. And if you use raw 1600, I think you use at least the same brake force like you would do in the real car, almost a little bit more. So for me, I have never driven, when I first drove the Formula 2, I've never driven a Formula car, and I've never driven left foot braking on a racetrack. And I was very curious if this works out. And I got into the car, started driving, left foot braking immediately. And it just felt exactly like in the sim. So, or this cockpit. So if you have this kind of setup with this kind of pedals, this elastomer settings, and the raw number of 1600, you're quite spot on what you can expect in a Formula Renault 2 or Formula 4 car. Just for your information. And don't forget, if you do the calibration, like the maximum of the brake is around 1600, so I think you're quite good with that. And but super important is to do the dead zone in the beginning. I have like around 130. I press as dead zone, because if you race and you have your foot rested on the brake pedal, you don't want the simulator to register some braking, because it will lower your especially top speed on the straight. When you rest yourself a little bit, you might forget to put your foot on the pedal, and if you don't configure or configure this dead zone in the brake, you're going to have some brake force applied. You don't want that. So let me back in my GT. This will feel quite different. Actually, this feels like coming home. Well, not so much. Oi, oi, oi. What temperature? 22, rather cold. Yeah, I thought this might be an issue, because in the roof you trail brake a lot, like into the corners, to make it have grip on the front and go through the corners. And that's exactly what the Ferrari is really bad in, or sensitive. If you brake into the corner in the Ferrari, the chance is super high that the rear steps out, just like it happened just now. So I will do one lap. 150, that's on, yeah, well, that's good too. Yes, that's a good way to do it, to edit it is in a joy calip. By now I do the quick and dirty, because through all the rebuilds I had to recalibrate so many times. I just do it in iRacing. You can kind of fake this in the iRacing calibration as well, but it's more precise and better to do it in joy calip, I think. So what is my time here? See. All-time best 7:31. Ah no, Optimus 7:33. Well, I'm not going to get that. Oh! Yeah. Yeah. The roof has ABS. The GT has not. And you saw how the rear was coming around immediately. So I'm afraid I have to work a little bit harder on this, because I don't want to be too much embarrassed when I race with Alberto tomorrow. Alberto is freaking fast. I don't want to be 5 seconds slower than him. And he was training already. Oh my. Yeah, it's always, if you change cars, it will take some time. What did I run? It's like if the best all time was 7:33, now it's 22 degrees. Well, I want to be on below 7:40. I would try to look at 7:36. If I manage to get a lap in, that is. So maybe the focus is now not for the all-time best lap, but for staying alive. Ah, you too. Well, we have to discuss this a bit in detail, but I'm afraid I'm going to crash if I do that now. To sum it up, it's okay. The only issue I still experience is regular decentering and support. Simulcube support wrote that with an upcoming firmware it's going to be better, I believe, when I see it. That's basically the only thing which is really bothering me at the moment. Oh my gosh, this is everything but smooth. Yeah, that's a long story. It is kind of solved, but yeah, if you can wait for after the lap, I can tell you the details. Or until I crashed. Oh, the grip compared to the roof, GT3 Cup is another thing. Just brake points, interestingly, earlier quite a bit. With the roof you have incredibly late brake points. Maybe because you're not so fast, maybe because it's much lighter car. And the ABS, not so sure, but definitely way later brake points. Oh, I have to work quite hard on this. So many corners, so off. So, the Ultimate. That was quite a story indeed. The main reason for me was the possibility to mount it like the way I have it now, to change the Ultimate. And since I run it in a semi-professional environment, I'm renting this rig. So if you guys come to Vienna one day, you can be here as well. And for that I was looking for the possibly most professional solution out there. And so Simulcube started to publish information about Simulcube 2, and a lot of reviews were done, including those showing the Gen 2 or the Revision 2 modifications, since there had been reception problems with the wireless option in the original one, as well as problems with the Simulcube quick release due to the form of this 3 cm adapter spacer. And what was the time, by the way? 43. Ugh. This is not very good. So anyway, I saw those reviews. I waited quite a bit on purpose. I thought, okay, if I go for this 3,000 euro expensive Ultimate product, I do want to have these modifications built in, obviously, because when they find out it's the quick release, you cannot use it the way it was, and you might have reception problems. I don't want to have these problems with a 3,000 euro product, obviously. And since I run a lot of different wheels, chances are I will have wireless wheels. And since I have this, I don't think you will see this, but there is a custom 1 cm thick steel plate in which I mounted the Simulcube. Then there are the button boxes, triple screens, and aluminium profiles between the base and the wheel. This is exactly the setup where people said there had been reception problems. So I asked for the dealer and asked for this second batch. So a base not from first batch but second batch, and they confirmed it's not a first batch, it's a later batch, so I ordered. And what I received is a first batch unit featuring the old original SimuCube quick release with this stupid spacer, which you cannot really use, where you cannot mount the screws properly. And no backside antenna. Also the safety pin was missing, and it was a faulty PSU power supply. So I think everything which could possibly go wrong went wrong. I filed a complaint about the PSU. It got replaced rather fast, so that was a quick thing. And then I got in touch and said, well, but I meant to order this revision 2 Ultimate, including the backside antenna and the Gen 2 quick release. And the dealer got in touch with SimuCube Granite Devices, and after weeks and weeks they said, I'm sorry, but they do not confirm an exchange. I have to deal with this. Then I opened the support ticket at SimuCube. This was end of October. And they explained several times that I do not have the right for a given revision. They consider it exactly the same product. So if you order it to SimuCube, it doesn't matter if it's a revision 1 or 2, and you don't have the right to receive a revision 2 product. So for me this was a big issue, because I didn't want to run into problems with the antenna and connection problems, and also I couldn't use the quick release. They said there was supposed to be a Gen 2 quick release included with the parcel, but it was not. It was, but I ordered a second one, and this was the second one, so one was missing. So I had only the original one, and I couldn't mount it properly. There are some videos where I basically lose the wheel because the screws come out of it. Then I argued that I ordered based on the information given in the online manual, and in the online manual it is stated that you receive this SIM base, the base with the backside antenna, an additional antenna, and the Gen 2 quick release. But they said even if it's in the manual, you don't have right to receive that exactly whatever is shown in the manual. I see this different, but Granite Devices was very strict with this. They didn't offer a replacement, and they said if I'm not happy with that, I have to sue the dealer. And I was really disappointed by this reaction. I mean, first of all, I pointed out that a professional user, a power user, it's the top range product they have, 3,000 euros expensive. And I expressed that I'm unhappy, and I didn't receive what I expected. I think you should treat customers for going for these kind of products a bit different, other than saying, well, if you're unhappy, sue the dealer. Since the sim racing community is a really small community, even if I thought I was right, because if they publish information that you receive a version of a product with antenna and a new quick release, and you receive an old one, I think it's at least misleading, at the least. So I do think there is a legal case there, but I really don't want to start suing people around in sim racing community, never ever. So this was out of the question. Eventually they offered that they will fit the antenna and change the quick release. Basically, no, they didn't say the quick release, the antenna. When I sent back the base on my own expenses. Now this is a really heavy base, so shipping this is really expensive, and this is when my dealer stepped in and he said, well, return it to us, or they will take care of the expenses and they will forward it to SimuCube. So the shipping expenses clearly were more than $100 to have it returned to SimuCube. They fitted the backside antenna terminal They sent back the base. There was not one note, no comment, no letter, no nothing what was done. It was just the same base returned with the terminal fitted, but no antenna. So I had to get in touch with them again, say, well, nice, there's now the terminal, but no antenna. Please ship me the antenna. 2 weeks later, I got the antenna. Again, no comment, no word, no nothing. Meanwhile, I also received the Gen 2 quick release. So after almost 3 months, I had what I initially tried to order in the first place, like the ultimate base with the antenna, the new quick release, and the working PSU. So that was quite some story, and it's not over yet because, well, there's one more interesting detail. If you look now in the online manual and the revision table, you will see that they say that a disclaimer got added that you are not, you may not expect to receive, you are not, you will not receive exactly what is shown in the manual. I don't know exactly the wording, but it's basically you don't have any right to receive whatever it's shown in the manual. So exactly this problem. To me, they always explain this is legally perfectly correct, and there's no, I have no point to ask what I asked. But apparently they needed to fit this disclaimer now that you may not expect to receive what is shown in the manual. And even more interesting, it's dated back before my support ticket. So when I downloaded the manual showing this antenna, and when I opened my support ticket, there was no disclaimer that you might not receive what is shown in the manual. But now there is, and they say they included this disclaimer beginning of October, I think, which is like 3 weeks before I filed my complaint. But I have a download version of the manual from end of October without this disclaimer. So this is a business practice which I definitely cannot understand. I mean, this is not transparent. This is not honest. That's I'm a bit, yeah, I have an issue with that. The product is fantastic, and I think they are correct when they say this is quality-wise one of the best products out there, and that's perfect. But the way they distribute it and find a way to handle these revisions, it's not the correct way. I think you should be more clear about this. Normally, if you have a product and it's released, you get a revision 1. And when they rebuild it, it's a revision 2, then you know, and when you ask, okay, you order it, is it revision 1 or 2? They will tell you it's revision 1 or 2, and then you receive what you expect. To make this kind of obfuscation thing out of it, yeah. And the other thing is software and kill switch and torque. So it used to had very erratic movements if you changed parameters within the simulation. This was plain dangerous. I mean, really dangerous. And it doesn't help that they say you have to have these beeps, and every 4 minutes it makes a beep to let you know it's still on. And therefore you have to use the kill switch. Interestingly enough, if you use the kill switch and then you go into the simulation, and you remember that I used the kill switch, so you deactivate the kill switch. This is exactly the situation when my wheel decenters, and it's quite annoying because then the simulation started and you have to recenter it twice in the SimiCube drivers. Do you experience any situations where your wheel decenters? So you have the Pro, you said. Can you confirm that you have this issue or not? Because some others, they said they didn't experience this, so I don't know if it's an ultimate thing. Quite regularly, at least once a day, I have to recenter the wheel because it makes like goes to the side and then it's decentered with 360 degrees. Not. So maybe it's really an ultimate problem. So the erratic movements with the latest firmware, the erratic movements, so that the wheel, it used to go like 360 degrees with full force. I mean, this was really plain dangerous. It's not doing this anymore, but I do have the decentering thing regularly. When I start from standby mode, I start sometimes the wheel decenters, and the other thing is when I have to use the kill switch while starting the simulation, and then it decenters as well. These are the most typical situations. So these are the last. This is the last issue I still have with the wheel. Otherwise, I'm really happy. I mean, force feedback is really good. I don't use the Simico quick release. I changed the Buchfink, and I'm very happy with this as well. So, and the most important reason for me was that I was able to install it now into the back and very low behind and below the monitors. So I can have this kind of setup, which was impossible with the Fanatec base. So that was the long story. So my advice for anyone who wants to order SimuCube, and it's important for you to know which revision, then ask beforehand and ask for a written confirmation which revision it's going to be. I don't think it's easy to get it, but try. And I forgot the second thing. No, I forgot. Sorry. I really think that you can tweak both the DD2 as well as the SimiCube 2 perfectly fine to your likings. It might need to tweak the parameters a bit. So in case of Fanatec, you can do this on the wheel or in the actually I like to use the Fanalab software. That they have a dynamic dampening which work quite well, I think. And you should be able to get the force feedback feeling more or less exactly the way you want when you play with these parameters enough.
The track temperature's rising. It's now 24 Celsius.
Yeah, so sorry for all this long talking, but asking me for the SimiCube story, it became a really long one, so I'm sorry about that. You think so? Alright guys, I think I will call it a night. Thank you so much for watching and chatting with me. I think it's very nice and interesting to hear from you and your setups and your thoughts. Well, maybe see some of you in the race. There's no difference talk for the ride. I don't think there's a lot of difference between those two. I think the main difference is the warranty, actually. The 5 years warranty for the DD2. I think you can buy and edit to the DD1. Initially they had a bigger difference between those of two with a different motor, but in the end they put in the same motor, and nobody needs the maximum torque force of any of those direct drives. Doesn't matter at all. This is my opinion. You never ever use 20, 25 or 30 Newton meters. The only moment when it's used, it's in a crash, and then I think it's better not to have this crazy amount of force, because it will break your fingers if you have them still in the wheel. So I don't think that's an issue at all. Speed, dynamic might be, but DD1, I'm perfectly sure it's way strong enough and fast enough. It should be perfectly fine. The only thing I would consider is the warranty. And you have this kill switch. The kill switch you will never use. I never had to use the kill switch in a Fanatec for almost more than half a year. But it has this on and off button which is useful. That's the only thing. You sure? I don't think so. Maybe it was a special deal. Yeah, I think it's 3 years, I guess. I mean, should be enough. Five is outstanding. Yeah. Hopefully you won't need it. Not in 1 year, not in 3, and not in 5. So, but now, good night. Enjoy. For me, it's very late. It's 3 o'clock in the morning here. I guess in your place it's not that late, so I wish you a nice evening or a good night. See you next time. Tomorrow we're going to have the race, so 7 o'clock Middle European time. We are going to have the final of VVLN. We are racing our Ferrari GTE, Alberto and I. We are currently on 6th position, behind the really big teams, Sorg and Schubert Motorsport and the big guys. So by far the best kind of private team. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe you have time and join in. See you then or later. Bye bye.